Hello and welcome back, everybody, to True Remembrance. So, last episode, La and Black Iris got to know each other a bit better. Black Iris started to warm up to La, and La, I don't really know about her. I wonder about her backstory. I wonder if we get to know something about her backstory. It doesn't seem like the most important thing in this game, but we'll see. So, going on. The next morning, I was startled awake by an awful crashing sound. Interesting. I had never been woken up this way before. I allowed myself a deep sigh, and then I got up off the sofa. La's back was turned to me when I found her, so I said, "Good morning." An early riser, I see. And almost succeeded at suppressing a grin when she jumped in surprise. Good morning. But then I looked down, and the sight completely succeeded at wiping the smirk off my face. There was a familiar-looking kettle on the floor, and a spreading dark puddle that had to be remnants of yesterday's stew. How did it come to this? See, stew for breakfast. Kettle boiled over. Went to take it off. Stuff burned, and, Okay, so that explained a couple of things. The peculiar smell for one thing, and the uncharacteristic warmth of the house for another. I looked over to the stove, and sure enough it was lit and burning bright. Then I had the following sequence of thoughts. First, man, this is weird. Second, I certainly didn't build that fire. Third, so she must have. Fourth, man, this is weird. Not bad at all, actually. Ever since I became a Mnemonicide, I'd always lived alone. There was the stray kitten who had invited herself into my life for a while, but obviously cats can't light stoves or build fires. And of course, she didn't stick around forever. One day I woke up, and she was gone. That is why dogs are superior to cats. You didn't get scaled or anything. I see. Scalded. That's a relief. I'm not mad at you or anything, so there's no need to apologize. I'm so sorry. Wait, didn't I just tell her not to apologize? Yeah, that's like, obviously she's gone. Oh well. I see this dude is like, yeah, as mentioned last episode, this is the typical story of him growing thanks to her, and the other way around. But, you know, it's not bad. I mean, as mentioned, it's all about the execution. And it's well executed, writing-wise. After that, I started clearing up the mess, but La wasn't having any of that. Okay, fine, whatever. So I figured we'd do it together, but she wouldn't have any of that either. So in the end, she stubbornly insisted on cleaning the mess up all by herself. After the kitchen was all spick and span, we broke fast with some pastries. Let's head out once we're finished eating. Any particular place you want to go? This was how the job worked. Excuse me. I just burped a bit. As her guide, I would show her around town. And as she grew more and more comfortable with the life here, the more opportunities I would have as her memory side, I'll call it memory side from now, to erase the memories that had so corroded her psyche. So is he like actually doing that with magic powers or something? Or how does that work? That would explain, if he has some magical powers, that would explain why a jackass like him takes care of a depressed person like her. But the thing was, I really didn't like doing any of this. Not that it mattered. Hell, it was my job. I didn't have a choice in the matter. Oh, it wasn't as if I was bad at it. Quite the contrary. I was quite efficient, both as a guide and as a memory side. I had 2 years of rigorous training in both to thank for that. That was mandatory for licensure, and I'd passed with flying colors. Really, the only reason I hated this part of my job was because I simply hated walking around outside. I mean, what was the point? Up to you. You are my guide, yes? La looked up from a glass of milk to briefly flit her eyes at me. I thought that she would say something like that, but still, that bothered the hell out of me. Now I really wanted to let out a sigh. Alright, let's go. Best to take your coat with you. It's cold out, you know. La nodded and then unwrapped her government-issue topcoat from her chair. We walked out the door and into our frozen town. She trailed me by a few paces. The streets were deserted. In defiance of the Daystar's One advance, Daystar's One? What the hell is a one? It sounds like a Chinese word. Advance, the shadows beat long tattoos on the snow-choked eaves. Okay, I have no idea what that sentence actually means. There were a little under 1,000 licensed memory sites here, and each of us had one guest. Then there were governmental personnel. Oh yes, and the people who had special permission to set up business in town. Too few people, too many ghosts. That was the problem with this place. The Dolor was a pandemic. The waitlist for the memory site protocol ran into the hundreds of pages. There just weren't enough of us to go around. La was gazing about at the stairfronts and houses. What was it that she saw? All I could see was an awkward clod of brick and ice and ruin congealing out of slushy asphalt. Now, as I continued to walk along, she stopped to look at something, then stopped to stare at something else entirely, then started again, and so on. Naturally, quite a gap arose between us. I thought for a second about waiting and matching pace with her, but it was far more fun to just watch her antics, so I let her be. "Black Iris, where are we going?" she asked as she caught up to me, her feet thudding on the icy sidework, and her breath painting short-lived clouds on the air about us. Let's see. How about some nice, delicious coffee? There's this place I know on the 6th Street. 6th Street. Like, how do American people say that? Like, for real. 6th? Like, who can do that? So let's take the trolley from here. What? You heard me right. Don't tell me you've never ridden one before. I haven't. That struck me as more than a little odd. Other than on foot, there was no other real method of transportation around here, and our trolley system was so good anyway that no one really minded. The other cities of our country had public transit systems that were at least as well developed as ours. That's how normal people got around. But Lahia had been chauffeured around for all her life, apparently. Her family must have been very rich, or very important, or both. Or maybe like the complete opposite. Or maybe they lived in the woods. Maybe you should talk to her. That might help. Well, maybe not, but probably not on the first day. I mean, I don't know how this dolor functions. If it's really like a disease, like a virus. But if it's more like not an actual like chemical illness, but more like just a mental problem, then maybe it's not the best idea to talk about that in the first day. I am no expert, especially not on fictional illnesses. As I stopped to think about this, La took the opportunity to sprint past me, toward the station. So she could be this lively at times, eh? Fascinating. However, since her small figure was already receding into the horizon, I was going to have to cut my reverie short. A smile came to my lips unbidden, and I began to walk again. We got off the trolley at the 6th Street station and headed toward our destination. La, of course, continued to make her frequent investigatory stops, but in this case, it was entirely understandable. Our house was on 8th Street. That end of town was mainly private residencies. But 6th, well, it was the closest thing we had to a shopping mall around these parts. And Lars seemed intent on examining every single piece of merchandise and every single display window we encountered. Our destination, by the way, was not on 6th proper, but on a back street a block or so away. Its door was unadorned but for a nameplate that simply read Aroma. Well, that's actually a pretty cool name. I steal that if I ever open a tea shop or something like that. That's actually a pretty cool name for a cafe. Oh god, you are a bit strange drawn. Not gonna lie. Sorry, shopkeeper. Like your eyes need to be a little bit more in the middle. Well, no one has created themselves, you know. As we say in Germany. Do you say that in your land too? Or in your country? Like, comment, and subscribe if you do. As we opened the door and walked in, a chime rang out in, and soon thereafter, so did a casual voice. Welcome. Hey, wait a second. Why, if it isn't Black Iris. Long time no see, man. I raised a hand in casual response. This proprietor here was one of the few acquaintances I had, you see. What of the odds? The friend. The overly happy, cheery friend for the overly emotional, unemotional, dark person. So the cheery guy and the unhappy guy. Why aren't they a comedy duo? Already works. Been out of town or something? I haven't seen you around these parts in forever, you know. No, I've been here the whole time. What did you do? Barricade yourself in your apartment? That's not good, yo. Oh, I got it. Don't tell me you... My acquaintance's flood of sarcasm suddenly went dry when he spotted the girl who was standing behind me. Actually, it was more like La was hiding behind the folds of my great coat and scoping out the cafe's interior. Got a girlfriend? Sorry, I was interrupted here. I kind of forgot what I was about to say. I wanted to say something. Oh yeah, right. Now I remember. Actually, I think it's kind of sad that Lars seems to be more, I don't know, more childish than I expected. I mean, of course, she is a child, but I kind of expected her to be more like the wise character, you know? Maybe that aspect of her character will come out later more. But, you know, I kind of went into this, like, expecting a more wise kid. How should I describe it? You know Avatar, The Last Airbender? Like, the protagonist of that series, he's very childish. And at the same time, he seems like a very wise kid. Probably was raised by monks. I expected a bit more of this, I don't know, of this wisdom out of her character. Then it would be easier for our protagonist, Black Iris, to kinda grow thanks to her, you know? But I guess it's more about him educating her. We'll see. It's speculating, and I'm just saying. Maybe the whole thing will get more the way I like it in the future. We'll see. So where were we actually? Oh yeah, right, he just said the girlfriend line, right. He at least had the good grace to manage a strange smile. La, on the other hand, reacted with no grace at all. She startled, flushed red as a beet, and began to shake her head violently. See, that is what I mean. She reacts... kinda... Yeah, not the way I wished she would. I don't want to say it's unrealistic, because it's most likely not. Like, a lot of kids would, no, I have nothing to do with this and that, and I don't like him at all, and stuff like that. That's normal, but it's not the direction I hoped it was going for. Fascinating. I let her go for a bit longer, until I became distinctly afraid that she might very well shake her head clear of her shoulders. This is my guest. Ah, I see. Right. No way a cute little thing like this would shake up with an oddball like you, right? What was I thinking, man? Now, I don't know how old this girl is, but from her looks I'd assume like 12, 13, 14, something like that. Would be a bit odd, he seems to be at least... Well, I mean, he's working a job, so he's probably at least 18. Maybe a bit younger, also possible, but more likely 18 or older. This was insulting, but it also happened to be true, so I couldn't really say anything. Yeah, you're an emo, I get it. I had Lars sit at the counter, and then took a seat next to her. Welcome. The name is Rook, and the honor is all mine. Don't you be forgetting me now, okay, little lady? He even managed a sly wink at La with the last sentence. Smooth man. Real smooth. Too smooth for me to want to imitate, as a matter of fact, if you know what I mean. La must have been as dumbstruck as I was, as she took a very long time to answer. La. Charmed, I think. She then bowed politely. Too politely, almost. A look of surprise. God damn it. I can't read. Why can't I read? So stupid. Sometimes I hate myself. You know that feeling? Kind of not a good thing to say, especially in this game right now. It's basically about hating life and stuff. Oh well. A look of surprise flashed across Rook's, not Rock's. But Rock would be a cooler name. Anyway, Rook's face, and then he burst out laughing. Oh man, have we got a bona fide cutie here? That's probably something Latin. Fides. Bona is something good, fide, probably manners or something. Hey, Lilla, how old are ya? Rook asked as he leaned over the counter and grinned. I sighed inwardly. See, this was just like him. He was like a dog with a bone whenever something interested him. My polar opposite, in other words. La, of course, was grinning uncomfortably in her seat by now. Obviously, this attention was unwanted. I sighed, outwardly this time around, and turned to face Rook. If you know what's good for you, you will stop harassing my guest, please. I'm not harassing her at all, man. I'm just really interested in her, that's all. What's wrong with getting to know her a bit nice and personal, huh? Fine. Have it your way. Just stop glaring at me like that, man. Rook shrugged vaguely, as if to say, you're damn scary when you glare. La, meanwhile, was sighing with relief now that the interrogation was over. Did she come for lunch? It's a bit early for that, but hey, whatever. So, what will it be? Up to you. Hey, La, anything in particular you want to eat? No idea. That came as no surprise. There were no menus here at Cafe Aroma. Rook always just made whatever he felt like anyway, whether it was the customer had ordered or not. What? How is his shop still working? How is he not bankrupt? Oh well. So I guess it was my mistake to even ask the question in the first place. It's even your mistake to go there in the first place. This dude is a bit messed up in the head, I think. Dude, just what kind of a guide are you, anyhow? Rook asked in surprise. Well, yeah, someone like him who smothered his guests with all manner of unwanted attention would find me odd. Oh, so even though he has a shop, he also has guests? Oh, the guests in his cafe, now I get it. He's not talking about the people who live with, for example, Black Iris. Hey, little La, want to be my guest from now on? I swear you'll have lots of fun. God damn it. Sorry, no. Rook smiled wryly, as if to say, oh, that's too bad, and got busy behind the counter. Or maybe he really has guests, I don't know. Much to my surprise, La smiled back, so obviously she was starting to warm up to him. A female guest, though. Just what was Dexter thinking anyway? Rook wondered aloud as he began washing some vegetables. This Dexter, by the way, was the supervisor to whom several memory sites, I'll stick with that, including Rook and me, reported. Ah, okay. So that confirms that he also has personal guests. Every single one of my assignments came from Dexter himself. La, for instance. But isn't an official policy not to allow male-female pairings? Man, if that has changed, when am I going to be up for one? Most likely never. You, with a girl, we would fear for her life. Hey, you're probably right. After all, I've got to live with a cutie like Lilla here. There's no telling what might happen. Cultural differences, people. This is just not funny in the West. This is just not funny in the West. This... I... Like, comment, and subscribe if you don't find it funny as well. God damn it. I watched a lot of old school Game Grumps a day ago, and now I have this like, comment, and subscribe joke kinda stuck in my head. I think I made it twice in this episode already. That reminds me. Hey, little lady, if Black Iris here does something he shouldn't, He does something he shouldn't, you come running to me, you hear? Out of the frying pan and into the fire indeed. Oh, there's a similar saying in German, but I don't know how to translate it into English. But fascinating. By this time, Rook was slicing up some fillets of fish without having to even look down at what he was doing. Now, I wasn't so bad at cooking myself, but this guy was really a pro. And, like most other top-flight chefs, he was a real eccentric. Case in point, he would rather give up his memory site status than his cafe here. Although he didn't have enough customers for this place to be viable. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't bring the people what they order. What does he expect? Oh well, who am I to judge? He would probably be wildly successful if he ever opened a restaurant somewhere other than this godforsaken town. But he couldn't do that, and he had no inclination to either. Here you go. He put gargantuan fish. Okay, I don't know that. Probably some kind of Chinese fish or something, or Korean? No, sounds kinda like... Not that I had any idea how Chinese or Korean actually sound. Like, I've heard it, but it's not like I could say, this is Vietnamese, this is Chinese. I think I could, like, differentiate Korean and Chinese, but for example, not Chinese and Vietnamese. I think. I had to try, I guess. He put gargantuan fish and vegetable burgers grilled to perfection before each of us. Lass looked almost as big as her head, but she bravely grabbed it with 2 hands and started digging in nonetheless. As she dug in with total gusto, the look of delight on her face was just fascinating. But she did get mad if I stared at her for any longer, so I turned my attention to my own food. Rook watched us eating for a bit, and, once he was satisfied that we were satisfied, began grinding some coffee beans. By hand. I had never seen him do it any other way. Soon the aroma of fresh ground coffee filled the air. It was so wonderful, in fact, that it made La look up from her burger. Coffee? Wait a second. The way she said that, it was as if this was the first time she had ever even encountered this stuff. Okay, the trolley thing I could explain away, but this? Curiouser and curiouser. That's actually a bit curious. How can she not know coffee? I mean, if she did not like coffee, okay. I don't like coffee at all, but, still strange. Nah, not coffee at all. This, little lady, is what we call espresso. I hate people like you. Although Black Iris, well, he can't get through that through his skull. I tried, I tell ya. Is that different from coffee? Totally. The way the beans are roasted, how they are pressed, how much caffeine there is, how it tastes, all different. But a barbarian like Black Iris here would never understand that. Yeah, but it's still coffee bones. Stop being a smartass. Rook pulled the lever on his espresso machine as he grumbled. Then, after a calculated pause, he pulled the lever again. No grumbles this time around. 2 demitasses, each filled... Demitasse, is that Italian? Probably. Each filled with this wonderful smelling dark liquid materialized before us soon thereafter. Here you go. Sweets for the sweet, La. The cafe Mocha's got your name on it. Mocha. Mocha probably, yeah. The cafe Mocha's got your name on it. The usual cafe corretto for you, Black Eye. I have no... Are these names or what is going on? I have so little idea about cafe. Coffee, not cafes. I know about cafes, but I don't know about coffee. Impeccable timing, as usual, since we had both just finished our burgers. La picked her demitasse gingerly, as if it were the most delicate thing in the world, and breathed in the rising vapors. Smells good? Of course, this is my specialty, see? Now, Rook was always this way with the ladies, but today he seemed to be even more effervescent than usual. Then again, La wasn't brushing him off the way most women did, so maybe that was it. Oh, right, Black Iris. Got an assignment, and not from Dexter. Constellation requisition for a high-level memory site. Lucky you. You've been trapped. Tapped. What? No, did he say trapped or tapped? Wait a minute, let me read that again. No, tapped. Whoops. I was already like, huh? Tapped? Wait, I'm currently with guest. It's not safe or legal to double up like that. Come to think of it, yeah. I wonder, how come Dexter didn't tell me you were with the guest anyway? He's usually real good about that. Probably just a communications breakdown. Anyway, relay my requests for me, will you? Rook froze, then shot me this half-sheepish, half-evil look. He and I had been colleagues for long enough that I knew what this meant. He had screwed me over. No choice, man. I, had to agree. Let's just say this new client is well connected. While Rook himself was a competent enough memory site, his true talent in that arena was as a fence. He ran a black market broker age that matched memory sites with prospective guests outside of official channels. Wow, fascinating. Okay. So he's a mafia boss. Only with people who need memory sites, I guess. It was all strictly hush-hush. None of us had said a thing about it to Dexter, and he hadn't asked. Our clients were diverse, but they all had one thing in common. They were rich and powerful. I had no idea where Rook found the time to own and operate this fine and, unprofitable restaurant, giving everything else he did. I suppose that made him something of a workaholic. Well, that at least explains why he is still in business, I guess. He gets money from the black market. That he is... God damn it. This seems so immoral. On the other hand, these people probably still need help, but still, like, they... Oh well, anyway, who am I to judge? This case will be its cinch, I'll tell you. It'll be done in 24 hours, I guarantee it. No idea why they insisted on a Class Alpha memory site, really. It was a rare pleasure to see him groveling and begging like this. Except it wasn't that rare, and it was no pleasure at all this time around. I didn't care about this being a technical violation of the law, so long as their pay was good. And it was, but right now, La was my guest. She had priority. That was something I couldn't violate. So I was going to have to say no. But then, as if she could read my mind, La casually said, "Don't mind. Your call." But... No worries. As you were. Her speech was curt and to the point as usual, but there was something awfully ill at ease about the way she said it. What? Did she dislike being pampered the way the rules dictated guests must be? If that was so, she really was an odd one. Really? Oh well, apparently. Most guests who came here were so starved for attention at first that they grew addicted to our care. Oh well, okay, I'll take it. It's you have the experience, not me. Wait, if La really did dislike being waited on hand and foot... You can say waited for like being the waiter for her? Cool, I didn't know that was like a verb. Was that why she was assigned to a memory site who wasn't particularly good to his guests? Maybe. That brought up all sorts of possibilities that I didn't want to think about. Alright, fine. But you owe me one. Oh, don't bother calling me at my apartment. I'm not there. I'm currently at the house on top of the hill at 8th Street, so send your client there. I'll make it up to you. Somehow. 8th, eh? Isn't that kinda out in the boonies? Nice and peaceful, actually. So much so that I have half a mind to move there permanently. God damn it. The most difficult things in these games are always the apostrophe words. Like I'm so often misreading stuff because of apostrophe something. Oh, get it off, man. You're not old enough to retire yet. Anyway, thanks a bunch for this. I'll have the client at your location by the day after tomorrow. Roger that. Should we end the episode? Or should we read the text? Let's read the text here, and then after the scene is totally over, we end the episode. The three of us killed some time together after that. La and I would have stayed longer, but it became obvious that the clouds were preparing to burst with snow, so we left in a hurry. Luckily, we found our way back to our place on 8th Street before the first flakes began purring from the sky. Oh, okay, that wasn't much anyway anymore. So, we can end the episode here. Perfect. So I wonder who this new person will be. Or maybe we won't even get to know the person and this is like the last day with La already or something. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know. So, as mentioned, it's not 100% it's not 100% going the way I wanted it to. But, you know, I haven't written the visual novel, I don't decide how things go. I'm just observing it and judging it because I'm a douche. But still, I think it's very good. So far, at least. We'll see how it goes on. So, thank you everybody for watching. Come back for the next episode. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.